This is my pleasure to be here with you. I hope you enjoy this session, this 1 hour session, I guess. So today I'm not going to be the only speaker. I will appreciate your participation. In the middle, we are going to do some practices together. So let's get it started. We are going to talk about critical thinking today. And critical thinking is basically related to questions. And how do questions matter? How much they matter? So first of all, we need to know, I don't know what's the problem. I can't. Oh, okay. So first of all, we need to know what is the critical thinking, how we define critical thinking. The first definition is the ability to think in an organized and rational manner in order to understand and the connection and link between the information and data. Because as a therapist, we receive so much information, true? So we need to, first of all, understand them and then categorize them in different groups and then make link between them to have a good judgment at the end. And analyze them if they are true, if they are not true, if they need to take care more, if we have to talk about them more than others. So this is basically about critical thinking. Most of the people are more interested in creative thinking, but it is interesting to know that critical thinking is it's first and then creative thinking comes. Because first of all, you have to be able to question something, to challenge something, and then you can create something new. So this is the importance of critical thinking. The other definition that is my favorite is thinking about thinking. I think this is the whole idea that we are going through today, thinking about thinking. It means that we have to take some space from our thinking and look at our thinking, observe our process of thinking. This is basically what is critical thinking. So guys, if you have any questions, you can write down in the chat box. At the end, we will talk about them. But let's go forward. So basically, most of us, I think we are psychologists, therapists, and we are all in this field. So why do therapists need critical thinking? Maybe some of you think that this is part of the life skill program as WHO works with it, and maybe it's not relevant to therapy. So I'm going to tell you why is it important to be a critical thinker. First of all, as all of us know, when we start studying psychology or counseling or clinical psychology, psychiatry, we receive so many data and information regarding practices, theories, approach, schools, like CBT, reality therapy, Gestalt therapy, and psychodynamic, ISTDP. There are lots of approaches that we learn about them, right? So critical thinking can help us to relate theory to practice. This is important to know about theories, how they work, what is their mission, what is their vision, what is their purpose, what are the techniques. But at the end, among all these theories, we have to choose which one is suitable for us as a therapist. I'm sure that you have heard it before that you have to choose a theory or approach which is suitable based on your type of personality. Because we can't deal with all kinds of clients, we have to choose our area. So for people who are working with kids, some theories are most suitable for them. For therapists who are working with substance abuse, there are other theories. So we need to find it out which theory is more suitable for us. And then secondly, we need to know how to relate that theory into the practice, how to apply the techniques in different situations. And in this place, critical thinking comes to help us. I will let you know how does it work in details later on. Secondly, evaluate data. So we receive so much data from the clients. Mostly in the first session, we are mostly a listener. So we need to know which data are more important, which one of them are less important, which one of them are related to the past, which one of them are referring to something which is crucial, which one of them are in priority. So we need to evaluate data to go for it and take care of them. And then ask relevant questions. It's not just about the content of the questions, it's about the timing. What time is the best time to ask a proper question? Sometimes when your client is crying, so the best question is just to ask, how are you feeling right now? Sometimes the best reaction is to be silent. It's up to the situation. But critical thinking will give you this idea, will give you this clarity that what kind of questions are suitable for different situations. And being unbiased and empathetic. So this is so important because one of the basic elements of being a good therapist is to be empathetic, true? So for being empathetic, first of all, as a therapist, we need to challenge our own assumptions because as a person, as an individual, we have our own personal ideas, we have our own personal beliefs, we have our own personal feelings. So when we are in a therapy session, and especially in some sessions which clients are in opposed to our belief system, let's say we have a client who is atheist, doesn't believe in God. Let's say we have a client who has some sexual problems. Let's say we have a client who is confessing to us that he's or she's cheating on their partner. And the content that they are giving us is in opposed to our belief system, in opposed to our feeling, in opposed to our values. So how could we be empathetic or unbiased? This is something that is relevant to critical thinking because we need to question our values at that moment. This is not about us. This is about the client. This is not about our values. This is about the values of the client. Okay, and then independency. Although we need to be empathetic, although we need to put ourselves in clients' shoes as much as we can, at the same time, we have to be independent. We have to have the sufficient space because we need to observe them. We need to take care of them. We need to evaluate data. We need to evaluate their arguments. So critical thinking gives us that space, that independency, how to be there, how to be empathetic, but at the same time, how to observe them and how to intervene in the best time. And then look into different sides of the issue. Let's say you have a client, they are a couple, a wife and husband. They are arguing in front of you, okay? So this is some personal cases and you are listening to both of them. Critical thinking is going to help you to listen to both of them and then being unbiased, as I said before, but look into different sides of the issue, put the issue in between and listen to both of them unbiasedly. And at the end, challenge the ideas, challenge the arguments of both of them. This is something which is very, very important, especially in couple therapy, because we need to be unbiased and we need to make a good conclusion at the end. We will help them to make a better conclusion, make a better decision for their lives. Okay. So how to be a critical thinker therapist? There are some steps. It seems simple here, but it needs practice. So first of all, in the first session, which the client is trying to tell us a story and we are mostly listener, we need to identify the main problem or the main question. That's interesting. I don't know, have you ever experienced it before or not? But sometimes the client come to the clinic, come to the session, and they say something, they ask a question or they say problem, and after 2 or 3 sessions, you find it out that the problem or the question is not the main problem. or the question is not the main question, because sometimes they don't feel free, they are not trusting us that much at the first time to say the truth, to go directly to the point. Because of that, this is your ability as a critical thinker therapist to identify the main problem and the main question from all the data that we are giving. And the data is not just the content, it's about feelings, emotions, gestures, postures, all of them are data. And then secondly, we need to gather the data, as I said, all the things, all together. We have to write it down, all of them, and then try to make a connection between all the data, gesture, postures, feelings, emotions, beliefs, and even the order of telling the information. The order is important. And then link them to the main problem, link them to the question. Okay, this is the third part. Find the links. This is like in the work of inspectors, how they find it out, what is the problem and what is the solution. So that's like a match. You have to go for it and you have to find it out. What is the main problem? What is the links? What are true data? What are wrong data? And then identify assumptions. This is so important. Let's say we have a client. Clients come to the session and say, I have a problem with procrastination. I'm always late. I can't do anything on time. This is my main problem. Okay? And then you go deep and deeper. Then you find out the assumption. The assumption is that I have to do everything perfectly. Because of that, I delay everything because it's very difficult to do everything perfectly. This is the assumption, and because of that, I procrastinate. I prefer to do everything lately. And then I have an excuse that I couldn't do it perfectly because I didn't have enough time. So this is your job to find out, to identify assumptions, because assumptions are not clear. They are behind the information. They are behind the beliefs, and we need to find it out. And then at the end, we need to reflect conclusion. So this is so subtle because we have to reflect conclusion very delicately. It should be so indirectly, not just directly. Okay, this is the reflection and you have to do this, 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 and that. This is not like that. We have to reflect the conclusion step by step, every session. We need to reflect it. We need to give feedback to the clients every session, step by step, little by little, and then write it down. How was their reaction to the reflect of conclusion? This is so important. Okay, let's go forward for the detail. So what kind of questions need to ask? So as I said, critical thinking basically is about questioning, as questions are so important. So what kind of questions we need to ask? As I said, what is the main issue? This is so important. This is the first thing we have to do. What is the main issue? Because they are like tree, they go around, they give us different kind of information and we shouldn't be confused with all the information. We need to know what is the main issue and then make the link. What words are vague? Which one of them are not that much clear? This is so important because so many of clients prefer to use some personal words. They have some frequent words. We need to find out those frequent words, those words which are not clear, and then ask about it. What do you mean by that word? This is so important because the meaning that they have in their mind, in their head is important, not the meaning we know about it. What are assumptions? As I said, assumptions are crucial. We need to know about them because mostly assumptions are related to our past and they are so deep. We need to work on them deeply. And then, is there any evidence for or against the claim? Let's say we have a client who is a mother of child and she's worried about her child because she thinks that her child is addicted to drugs. So first of all, we need to find it out if there is any evidence for or against the claim, how the mother come to this idea that the child is addicted to drugs. This is so important. And what information are missed? This is so interesting. I always just get interested to know about the information which are missed. Because in some cases, for example, sexual abuse, clients don't like to talk about the issue. They prefer to cover it. They prefer to hide it. So they come to the clinic, they come to the session, they say, my problem is lack of confidence. My problem is that I don't like myself. My problem is body image. They say something else. And then when you go forward, when you go deep and deeper, you find out there is something which is not mentioned during all the sessions. And sometimes you can just try it. You can say, you haven't ever mentioned about your childhood. Is there anything important about your childhood that is missing here? Why don't you like talking about your dad? Why don't you like talking about your school? Is there something about it you want to share with me? So with these kind of questions, we are trying to find out those missed information. And then last but not the least, the numbers and absolute words. We have to find it out if the numbers or absolute words like ever, never, always are reliable or not. For example, we have a client who says, I have asked my children for more than 10 times, is she's doing this or not? And then this is the time you can challenge the number. Honestly, you asked her more than 10 times. When you challenge the number, when you challenge the absolute word, like never, ever, always, they say, no, not like that, sometimes, not always. So when you do that, you stop over exaggerating, which it happens a lot. Okay, let's try it. We are going to do it practically. I hope you get the idea, but we are going to do more practically, and I will mention the details. So I will do one example, and then I will ask for some volunteers to join me, and we will do it together. So this one is an example. This is a very, very, very short and simple question. Is controlling good? You have I'm sure that you have experienced it before, that your client asks you a general question, right? So for example, your client is asking you, is controlling good? If you are a critical thinker, you have to challenge the question. Of course, we are not going to answer as a person. We have to challenge the question. How could we challenge the question? Like this. So remember the question. The question is controlling good? So first of all, what kind of control? Because we have different kinds of control. What kind of control do you mean? Then, what do you mean by good? Remember, these words like good, bad, enough, valuable, or wrong, right, these are the words that we have to ask a lot about them because they have personal meanings. So what do you mean by good? Does it mean practical? Does it mean workable? What does it mean to you? Then control over who? Control over your partner, control over your children, control over your workplace, because they are throwing the question to you and then you'll give it back to them, but with more details. You're just categorizing the question. And then how much control? Because sometimes control is good, but it depends how much control. And then this is so important. Why controlling is important to you? How it came to your mind to ask me this question? So why controlling? So with asking these kind of questions, you are challenging the ideas, you're challenging the feelings. And then with all the answers you're receiving for each one of these questions, you will receive valuable data. You will receive so many things that you can work on them, you can take care of them. Okay, I hope you get how does it work as a critical thinker. So let's go for practical and practicing together. I need volunteers. Who is the first volunteer?
There is, I don't know when the time is that you've allocated for questions, but there is a question in the chat. So
Okay.
do you want a specific time, like at the end of?
Yeah, I prefer, because if we do it perfectly and maybe the question is answered by the end.
Yeah, okay then. Go on.
So who is the volunteer? Who is the bravest one?
So,
It's easy.
would anyone like to volunteer? Please answer in the chat. If you would like us to unmute you.
No.
Let's see, oh, is someone?
Hello.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Volunteer.
How are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
Okay, good to see you here. Okay, Sarah, did you
Yes, I'm glad to.
have the idea? How does it work?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So
Okay.
let's say that you have a client, and this is the case of your client, the first one. My husband never
Okay.
understood me and never tried to do so. Can you challenge this idea with critical thinking process?
All right. Maybe I would ask that person, like, in what way doesn't he understand?
Mm-hmm.
He does not understand you.
Uh-huh.
And then what should I? And then she might be like, he does not understand. Like he's not communicative with me.
You don't need the
And
answer.
I don't need
Just
to answer. Okay. Okay, my husband never understands me. Okay, so in what way doesn't he understand you? And if he were to understand you, how will that look like for you?
perfect. Yeah. Or
And
how did he try? What do you mean by try?
yeah, what
What
do you mean by trying? That's good.
about trying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you see an absolute word here?
Okay, he never. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the word never.
Okay. How would you challenge the never?
Like when. All right, my husband never understands me, and he never tried to do so. So, what do you mean by never? Does he never understand you, or is it just at what one time?
Uh-huh. Or sometimes you can say, because it should be creative as well, okay? So sometimes you can say, oh, you're living with your husband for 10 years. It would be terrible if he never understood you. And she would say, no, it's not like that, because there were some times that he could understand me. So you can just sometimes make a joke with it. It's okay, you know?
Okay.
And say, wow, this is so terrible. He never understood you, just never, like a moment. He never tried for you, and with stone, and then you will receive the answer. Okay.
Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much for participation.
You're welcome. This was very useful.
Thank you. Okay, next one. Is there anyone else?
I will.
Okay, hello. Who's there?
Hi. Fatma.
Okay, Fatima, I can see you. So
Oh.
nice to meet you. Could you please go for the second one? My main problem.
My main problem is that no one appreciates my effort on being tidy.
Okay.
So I would ask what type of appreciation you would like to get. Like
Okay,
what is
perfect.
appreciation for you? And like when you say no one, do you only talk about like your family, or is it like everyone around you? It's like this.
Good, very good. Is there anything else? Just remember the, for example, the OCD cases.
Okay. So her main issue that she's being tidy. Maybe that's, maybe I'll ask her like, how tidy you are, like, what do you mean by being tidy? Like, what is the thing that you do?
Perfect. Or you can ask, how much is it important to you being tidy? Okay, because we are trying to find the assumption. Maybe the assumption for the client is that being tidy is a kind of value to her. Okay, so by asking about being tidy and what is the importance of being tidy, because she expects appreciation for being tidy, it means that being tidy is something valuable, needs appreciation.
Yes.
So there is an assumption there, and we need to find it out, the assumption, right?
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, the next one. This is the shorter example. Go for it. Who's the next one? I can choose myself. Hello.
If you don't want to use your microphone, you can write in the chat. It's possible. So if you would like to participate, you can answer in the chat.
Okay. Do you like you yourself? Do you want to do that?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So no one is trustable. Oh, someone, Thompson wants to participate. So should I go ahead?
You can do this and the next one for Thompson.
All right then. No one is trustable. Okay, no one is trustable. I think the absolute word is no one here. So I would probably ask, why would you say that? Like, what event or what made you feel that way, or what makes you feel that way? And I would try to dig in more, because short sentences probably mean that there's like a general, they're generalizing over everything, so it means some kind of thing is going on in the background. So yeah, I think that's how I would start.
Okay, perfect. And sometimes we can go for exemptions, like we can ask, so you mean there is not just one person in your life that you can trust? Can you just think about it one more time? Is there anyone, just one person in your life that you can trust? And then if they say no, say, but I guess you're trusting me right now. I'm the first one that you're trusting me and you're sharing your story with me. And then appreciate it. This is so good. This is so happy. I'm so happy that you trusted me finally. I'm the first person in your life. Okay. So with this kind of questions, we can break the ice, because absolute words are like ice. We need to break the ice to go deeper. Thank you so much. Okay, next one.
Okay, so I guess Thompson is next.
Okay. Yay, Thompson. Hello.
Okay, so she's answering. She says the absolute word is sure.
Okay. I can't see the chat box. I don't know why. Where is it?
I think you can, in the thingy in the middle, there's the word chat. You press that. It went back. It's okay. I'll read the messages to you.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Okay, so she says, you could start by asking what the cause of this person's trust issues are.
Okay, perfect.
And she said, try and get the base root of the trust issue. Keep going.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Can you see the screen or not?
No, it stopped sharing.
Okay, let me just share it again. Okay, yeah, she was right. Thank you, Tamsin. It was true. So the absolute word is sure, and the assumption is related to trusting. And there is something else we can ask about it, like the client is saying, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, she wrote another question. She said, also, you could ask open-ended questions to find out if this person has been cheated on before.
Perfect. That's true. Yeah. Remember, I told you we have to see issues from different aspects. Okay. So we have to find out evidences because that's a kind of claim. The client is saying, I'm sure my partner is cheating on me. That's a claim. Okay. So a critical thinker therapist is trying to find out the evidence and show the evidence to the client. Is the evidence is reliable or not? How many evidence you have? And are the evidence good enough to prove your claim or not? So especially when you have issues like cheating, this is so important going because in some cases it's not happening in the real world. In some cases, this is just in their mind. It's not happening there. So we need to find it out. We need to find out the evidences. Okay, I just prepared for practices. I think that's enough. We got how does it work. So this is all up to you. As much you're creative, you can create new questions. And sometimes in the session, some new questions come up. It's, you have to be there fully here and now, and you have to listen to the content. You have to watch out for the feelings, for the posture, gesture, everything that you're receiving, and then try to challenge all the data. Try to challenge all the things that you're receiving. Okay, shall we go forward? Because I can't find the chat box yet. Okay, so begin with yourself. As I said at the first of the session, it's very important to think the critical thinking as a person, as a therapist. Although it's workable in the session with the data you're receiving with your client, but firstly, it's very good if you begin it with yourself. Because as a person who likes to grow, who likes to learn new things, and I think the therapist should be that kind of person who likes growing, who likes to learn new things. And as a therapist who should be open to different kind of ideas without judgment, we need to work on ourselves first of all. So you can do it after finishing this session, you can do it for yourself. You can make a list of your important values or assumptions, your red flags, whatever which is very, very important to you. Make a list of them, okay? And then put a question mark in front of all of them. Ask yourself, why this is too important to me? Why this is my value? Is it given to me by my parent? Is it given to me by society? Is it given to me by culture, by school? Is it myself? Is it something that I have evidence for that? I have proof for that? So ask yourself some questions and then write your answers. Okay, you have a list of assumptions, list of values or red flags, and then asking yourself why, and then write your answers. When you wrote your answer, like the same we did here, challenge your answers. Is there absolute word? Is there any assumptions behind your beliefs? Is there anything that you can challenge it? Exactly the same we did here. Challenge it as much as you can. The more, the better. Okay? And then do it more every week, every month. Review the list every now and often because this is so important. This is very necessary because as much as you grow yourself, the more you grow, the more you can help your clients. And I really want to say that with all the approaches, with all the things, with all the psychological materials that we have, they are just materials. At the end, your personality as a therapist could help people. Because even you know all the techniques, even though you know how to start the session, how to end the session, even you know all the rules, and even your experience so much, but if the therapeutic relation doesn't take place, you can't help people that much. And therapeutic relationship is really linked and connected to your personality as a therapist. Okay, so the more you're critical doesn't mean to just critique everything or complaining about everything. Critical means that you have this sense of wonder. You have that kind of sense to think out of box, think about different aspects of something. And this is connected to creativity. Okay? So the more you're creative, the more you are critical, the more you are creative. The more you are creative, the more solutions you have for a problem, and the more you are successful in your career. So that's it. This is critical thinking. These are the questions can change a life. Even sometimes with just a single question, we can change a life forever. Because of that, asking questions is so important. And the way we ask the questions, the word we use, and the timing, they are so important. I think this career, being psychologist, psychiatrist, or counselor, is really important because we are changing lives. So first of all, go and work on yourself because we need to work on ourselves very much to change our lives, to be a better version of ourselves, and then we can help others in a better way, inshallah. Okay, if there is any question, I'm here.
All right. So if anyone would like to unmute or write in the chat, I'll read to you the question that Tamsin asked.
Just let me just pause the screen. Then I can see the questions.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, here we are.
Can you see it now?
Okay. Yeah. So that's great. Tip on how to navigate the conversation. Question: how would you handle a session if the client is not very responsive? Yeah, that's very good. But as I said, it's not just about, oh, how can I? As I said, it's not just about the content. It's not just about words. Sometimes I'm happy to see that clients are silent because silence is a very important answer. Because sometimes we are speaking about different things, different topics, and then we ask something about client's dad. And then suddenly they got silent. They have no answer. And this is a clue. There is something there about the client's dad. We need to take care of it. And sometimes not just about being silent, about the posture, about the gesture. Sometimes they are emotional. They are like, they say, I don't like to talk about this subject for now. Okay, that's okay. I don't want to put pressure on you, but this is a clue. Why you don't like to talk about it? You can go for it next session. You can go for it later on. We are not in hurry, but we write down, we are observing every details. This is so important. So, and then what else?
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question. How can you like avoid asking questions? Not questions. I meant how can you avoid like giving advice? You know, because during a therapy session, it's usually just asking them questions for them to navigate their emotions, to navigate or basically for them to, you know, find out ways to work on themselves, kind of, without us having to give advice constantly. So how can we work on that?
So you mean if they ask us questions, and how could we answer the question without giving them advice? Okay.
Correct.
So first of all, as I said here, when they ask you a question, and it happens a lot because sometimes they really want to get the answer from you. For example, they are in a situation of divorce and they don't know if divorce is good or not. They want to do something, but they are not sure. They are not certain about the decision. And they ask you, do you think divorce is a bad thing in the society? Is there any stigma around divorce? So there is something about, they are showing their confusion, right? So of course, we are not going to give them advice. As I said, by identifying the components of the question, we can avoid giving the advice. Okay, first of all, we have to show our sense of wonder that, oh, really, this is so important for you to know about it. And if they say, yes, this is important, then we go for it. But how we go for it, this is just about their case. As you saw, as you know, when we are giving advice, advices are so general, right? We
Yeah.
use general words, general sentences to give advice. But in therapeutic session, we don't talk generally. We speak specifically, right? So we just mention the question, we take care of each components of the sentence as we did it here. This is personal, just for the client. So it's not like an advice because it's not general. Okay, but if we say, look at me, never do that absolute words. If you noticed before, advices always have absolute words. Never try to do that. Always try to be kind to everyone. These are kind of advice, right? We avoid absolute words. So we just focus on the question. We try to focus on each components of the question and then give it back to them with more details.
Okay, makes sense.
It's like a surgery.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. Okay, Thompson has a recommendation. I think also you could ask open-ended questions to find out if this person has been. Oh, okay, that's for. That's for
Yeah, I have a question.
yes, please.
Now, if the clients talk about some behavior, and I think this behavior is wrong, let's say they said that they cheat and they enjoy cheating.
Mm-hmm.
How can I control my response? Because, you know, I don't want to respond in a way that they will not talk to me anymore. So how can I answer to this type of confession from them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It happens a lot, especially if you're working with, like in a prison, if you're, sometimes you have a client who's speaking about committing a crime, okay? So that's something really difficult to deal with it and trying to be unjudgmental. So first of all, the practice I told you at the end of the PowerPoint, this is so good that you are aware of your values, okay? You are aware of your values, you're aware of your own assumptions, and you know about it that this is your personal values. This is your personal assumptions and red flags. This has nothing to do with your clients, okay? But in some cases, which is obviously wrong, and you know that this is, for example, hurting someone else, okay? So what we do, we just try to clarify the consequences, okay? We can say, have you ever thought about the consequences of cheating? So maybe in short time is pleasurable for you, but what about next year? What about like when your wife finds it out that you're cheating? Have you ever thought about the consequence? And you can just show your sense of wonder, as I said, like this. You can say, I was wondering if your wife finds it out, what will happen then in your house? How could you handle it? Okay, this is your worry. In deep down, you feel that this is wrong, but you can't say that this is wrong. So you just try to change or rephrase your answer to just clarify the consequences. In any cases that the client is confessing to something which is dangerous or wrong, we just try to clarify as much as we can the consequences.
Okay. But not giving like a direct answer like, no, this is wrong.
Because they never come back again.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
And you just remember that there is a difference between counselors, psychologists, and people who are working in court. We are not here to judge.
Yeah.
At the end, this is their own decisions, and they have to take the responsibility for their decisions. We are just here to give them this awareness of the consequences of every kind of decision.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatima.
Does anyone else have any question? unmute or write in the chat. Keep reminding you guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My question, it's about children. If we ask them some question and they don't want to give us the answer and say that's it, how we can change their mind and give us the answers?
Perfect. That's a good question. So working with children is totally different. Okay. All the things that I mentioned here is mostly workable for adults. Okay. Because my specialty is mostly with adults, but with children, the basics are the same, but the wording is different, totally different. Because when we are working with children, we are not direct because it doesn't work at all. So because of that, we have play therapy. So it takes more time and you have to be more patient. And then one of the best tools for working with kids and children is to play with them. And during playing, try to ask them some indirect questions. Or for example, we have a puppet show in our clinic. So during the puppet show, our psychologists trying to speak about the emotions. Okay, they have some characters trying to act with the characters and ask some question regarding feelings or emotions. Okay, and sometimes we have some role plays. We ask them to come to choose one of the characters and then we play with each other. We have a role play because they can't understand the direct questions. So you need to make it simpler. And most of the time, play therapy helps a lot.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Is there anything else?
Anyone else?
Yeah, Thompson is a child psychologist, so thank you. For children, you can also tell them your own experiences so that they open up. Yeah, ice breaking for children is something else. You have to work on it very hard. It's okay. So
Seems like nobody has any for now.
yeah, and I think our time is kind of over.
Yeah.
So if you had any other questions, if you wanted to be in touch with me, feel free to find me on Instagram at sahar.counselor. So I would I can be there and answer your questions. And thank you for listening to me. I hope it was useful to you and I could add something to your career.
Thank you so much, Mr. Had. This was really enlightening and I love the information. It's very valuable for us.
Thank you.
I'd just like to remind everyone that this is part of the Miran program that we have for psychologists. And next Wednesday, we have another workshop. It's in Arabic. It will be about laughter yoga. So thanking you again. This is very valuable. We'd love to see you again in other topics and other workshops, inshallah.
Thank you so much for hosting this session and wish you all the best in your career.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Bye, everyone.
You too.